The Supreme Court had established a high-powered committee to consider the impact of the Char Dham project on the Himalayan valleys. And the report that the HPC submitted said that a disaster-resilient road is much more critical than a wider road that's prone to frequent blockages, landslides and recurring slope failures. Subsequently, the Supreme Court had allowed the double-lane paved configuration for this Char Dham project. Now, joining us on the broadcast to understand the fragile topography and the ecological impact of this entire project, CP Rajendran, Adjunct Professor at the School of Natural Sciences and Engineering from the National Institute of Advanced Studies. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning. Now, over the past 12 days, the rescue operations ran into many difficulties owing to the topography of the Himalayan region, also the nature of the soil that we're aware about. Sir, do such large-scale infrastructure projects then compromise the fragile ecology of the region?
Well, yes, it is a huge infrastructural project has been set in motion for several years there, and the most importantly, the Char Dham, the road widening program that government is now engaged in to smoothen the traffic. It's a byline. I mean, there are two lines, and also the width of the road is as wide as 12 meters. So there has been, as you mentioned earlier, that there was a high-powered committee, and the committee chaired by Dr. Ravi Chopra and several other experts were involved in it. And they said that, this cannot be done. I mean, they want this road width to be, reduced to around 7.5, so that, there is not much cutting into the cliffs. So what is now, I mean, that has been now rejected, and the expert committee members resigned, and there is a lot of, back and forth statements, and, there are a lot of people have been writing against it, and, I always maintain that, in my writing that this Char Dham project is a highway to a disaster. So if you look back, you will see that there is a sequence of this kind of disasters, mishaps happening here for the last several years. And I believe this is not a very viable program in a fragile environment like the Himalaya. So there are a lot of objections that have been raised. And now, you can see that, what's happening now. And, there is a very very big increase in the landslide incidences there. And, all this, the present mishap is part of that. And there's a lot of tunneling involved in it. And that has now, weakened the whole region. And, during intense rainfall, the landslides occur, and the Supreme Court has actually allowed this because finally the government said that it's also required for army movement to the border areas with China, and that is where probably the Supreme Court said, okay, I mean, it's for security reason, we cannot say no to this. So that is how the government has gone about, and now it's become a disaster-prone route, and there is no way you can make these things easy for the army movement also. So these are the problems now, and now we are facing a big issue, and I think the government has to now review this and just put a stop to this and see what can be done to lessen this impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one more thing, the point is no environmental assessment has been conducted here. I mean, that's again a bad thing, So these are all, the objections that people have been raising against this. So.
Crucial that you highlighted the security reason that was cited by the government. But it's clear that indiscriminate blasting during road construction makes cracks in soil and rocks that may enhance the possibility of not just landslides, but even flash floods in the future, considering this region is prone to this. But sir, it's also undeniable that if you disturb the slopes, like you've said, disasters like landslides are then inevitable.
Yes. Yeah, that you're right. I mean, say it's a common sense. What we are doing is not, what people are saying. You don't say that, we don't want any road there. We don't want any infrastructural facilities there. what we say is that the intrusion or the interference by, the people should be made to be minimal, so that, the environment is able to sustain itself. It's a very ecologically very fragile. The problem here is, people always sometimes compare it with Alps and, Appalachians. These are all, old mountains which are not now growing. I mean, this is Himalaya is a very dynamic environment, tectonically. And
Absolutely.
you have also noticed that, the incidence of earthquakes have increased now, in the Nepal area bordering China, India. I mean, and people are, the researchers have been also telling that, there could be a major earthquake in this region.
In fact, we've seen those huge cracks in Joshimath in Uttarakhand alone as well.
Yeah, we had that kind of Joshimath is another major example of, there is a tunneling that was going on for several years, and, it has stopped several times because of the problems. The engineering technical problems. Again, still it is going on, in relation to some hurdle project there. So again, 2009, the researcher that actually warned that there is a problem there. There's a huge leakage of water, and this could have an impact on, on the Joshimath town. And in 2000, there is 15. Or I think, several years back, there was a Mishap commission which looked into this, and they had said that, you should ban more construction. And, nothing has happened. I mean, see, the government goes about doing nothing about it. And, you cannot say that, the researchers and the scientists have not warned about this. There are several occasions where people have come out and said that don't do this. But
so what lessons can be learned at this stage from this entire incident?
The lesson is, we need to take into account the environmental vulnerabilities. So we need to understand what is happening there. So we need to, we should not establish or whatever, we are doing there. We have to make the whole interference to the minimum possible. That is what I have to say, because, as we call it as a carrying capacity of the system, that we always need to remember, we cannot go beyond that. And as you have seen in Himachal Pradesh, a couple of months ago, the kind of destruction that has happened there because of the huge number of construction on the floodplains. And in Kedarnath, it started with 2013. The sequence of disasters. And again, it's a question of, it's a glacial lake outburst, and that's also increasing because of the climate change. And that also generates flash flood. And that, becomes a disaster because, you have a number of unregulated construction on the floodplain. And, these are the things we need to be very careful and regulate it. Even this Char Dham project is supposedly to make, the people from the plains to go to the religious places and, do the, pilgrimage. But again, we cannot have an unregulated number of people coming and, going into this. All these things have to be taken into consideration.
Right. So as we wrap, could you give us an idea of the investment that's required for geological surveys and mapping in order to identify these high-risk areas that could be especially prone to landslides, flash floods, and other geological hazards?
Yeah, as far as the tunneling is concerned, this is again, we have several incidents of tunnel collapse. If you remember, in 2000, in Kashmir, 2022, there was a tunnel collapse, and 10 workers who were inside got trapped and they got killed. I mean, these are incidences that are happening in, it is not something, what is happening now in Uttarkashi is an exceptional incident. It has happened before. The problem here again is, we need to understand the geology first before you go for tunneling. There is a standard operating procedure for this, and, there are experts who should be assigned to do this kind of work, to map the geology, to understand it. And it's also, there are a lot of engineering, technical, exercises that we need to do here, before tunneling. I don't know whether these have been done in this case, but the problem here is, there are ways of understanding the shear strength, the load-bearing capacity of the rock, all this can be actually modeled inside the lab, and you can have a based on the report of all this, we need to only after that we need to go for this kind of exercises of this tunneling. So we need to have a full understanding of the geology and the strength of the rock, and especially in the case of Himalaya, we have a very it's a very fragile system where you have very loose rock. Even the place where the Uttarkashi is a place where it's highly fractured because of frequent tectonic activities.
45 मीटर जो पाइप है ऑगर मशीन के उसके कारण से जा चुका है और रेस्क्यू अब अंतिम चरण में है। कुछ बाधाएं आ रही हैं, हम भगवान से प्रार्थना करते हैं कि जल्दी से जल्दी वो पूरा हो और जल्दी से जल्दी हमारे सभी श्रमिक भाई सकुशल बाहर आएँ। यहाँ पर उनके बाहर निकलने के लिए सारे इंतजाम किए गए हैं, एम्बुलेंस तैयार है, अस्पताल भी पूरी तरह से उनके इलाज के लिए और जो भी चेकअप वगैरह होने हैं वो सब हम लोग कर रहे हैं। उनके परिजनों से भी लगातार हमारे प्रशासन के लोग, स्थानीय लोग, सभी लोग उनका मनोबल बढ़ा रहे हैं और हमारा प्रयास है और सारे विशेषज्ञ इसमें लगे हुए हैं, पूरे मनोयोग से काम कर रहे हैं, पूरी मेहनत से कर रहे हैं। रात दिन रेस्क्यू चल रहा है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी प्रत्येक दिन इसका अपडेट लेते हैं, पूरी जानकारी लेते हैं और लगातार चिंता करते हैं कि जल्दी से जल्दी हो भी कि सभी लोग सकुशल बाहर आए। और आज भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अभी जानकारी ली है, उनको अवगत कराया है और हमारे यहाँ पर लगे हुए सारे विशेषज्ञ जो बाहर से भी आए हुए हैं उन सभी का भी क्योंकि बड़ा इसमें योगदान है। निश्चित रूप से सभी का कठिन इस चुनौती को सभी लोग जो है अपना मानकर उस पर काम कर रहे हैं और हमें लगता है कि ईश्वर की कृपा से जल्दी ही जो है ये सक्सेस होगा।
सर, जितनी एजेंसियां काम में लगी है सब में कोऑर्डिनेशन, समन्वय जबरदस्त है, जिस वजह से काम जो भी जटिलताएं आती है उसे दूर कर लिया जाता है और ये भारत के लिए एक सफलता के तौर पर गिना जाएगा जब ये सभी 41 मजदूर इतनी कठिन सुरंग से निकल कर बाहर आएंगे।
आपदा का समय है, इसमें सभी एजेंसियों ने बहुत अच्छे तालमेल से काम किया है। स्थानीय लोगों ने भी, यहाँ के प्रशासन ने भी, एनडीआरएफ ने, एसडीआरएफ ने, भारत सरकार के सभी अधिकारियों ने, राज्य सरकार के सभी लोगों ने जो भी इस काम में है, सबका इसमें बहुत सहयोग है, बहुत योगदान है और इसीलिए ये रेस्क्यू आगे बढ़ा है और अंतिम चरण में है।
तो लगता है अब आप रेस्क्यू करके ही जाएंगे?
ईश्वर की कृपा से जल्दी होना चाहिए।
थैंक यू सर।
Well, you've just heard the Chief Minister, Pushkar Singh Dhami. He's reached the tunnel site and taken stock of the situation. He said that all the officials are working round the clock to ensure that the 41 trapped workers are brought out safely and in record time. However, at this point, as Mohammad Ghazali and Kishore Rawat have been reporting from the ground, it's hard to give a specific timeline, a specific time frame for when this will happen because of the obstructions and hurdles that the officials are facing on the ground. Mohammad Ghazali has been reporting from outside the Silkyara tunnel in Uttarakhand. It's day 12 of the rescue operation. 41 workers are trapped inside a portion of the tunnel that collapsed and they are yet to be brought out.